He'd ride into town and the folks would all stare. His cold eyes would tell you that he didn't care. Way through the Badlands and out through the West, he was simply the gunfighter, known as the best. Sitting at poker in some old saloon, he'd quit with the roosters and get up at high noon. He'd win every hand by just looking tough. He once beat Doc Holliday with no cards, just bluff. Gunfighter, gunfighter, ride into town. Who'll be the one to take you right down? Gunfighter, gunfighter, who'll be the one to finish the story you have begun? He was there on the night Bill Hickok was killed, just sipping his whiskey, all silent and still. Like always he'd sit so that he'd face the door. Been too many killed in that same way before. The women all feared him and his eyes so cold. Well, all except one, she was charming and bold. She would love him to hell and all the way back. Her eyes were ice blue and her dresses were black. Dressed up that way, they were such a fine pair. They strolled down the street and stopped here and there. The women would giggle, but the men looked away with fear in their eyes and faces turned gray. Gunfighter, gunfighter, ride into town. Who'll be the one to take you right down? Gunfighter, gunfighter, who'll be the one to finish the story you have begun? Well, we all expected his end he would meet, gunned down by some kid right there on the street. Who would have known where it all would end, and who would avenge all those dying young men? It didn't seem likely anyone could outdraw a gunfighter living well outside the law. The sheriff, he found better things he could do. Way out of the county on a swift horse he flew. Then came the night we'll never forget, the night the gunfighter made his last bet. He wagered to one, and he wagered to all. He could outdraw himself, he declared with a draw. Gunfighter, gunfighter, ride into town. Who'll be the one to take you right down? Gunfighter, gunfighter, who'll be the one to finish the story you have begun? They set up a mirror there in the saloon, next to the table where the cards were all strewn. He'd draw out his Colt, his big 44, and himself in the mirror he would outdraw. The crowd were all laughing and placing their bets. His lady love stood there with her cigarette. He drew his gun faster than they've seen before. He fired, then fell wounded right there on the floor. He died long before the sun ever rose. Went down to his maker, way down there below. The folks still can't figure just how it was done. The gunfighter killed by his very own gun. Gunfighter, gunfighter, ride into town. Who'll be the one to take you right down? Gunfighter, gunfighter, who'll be the one to finish the story? You